Hello everyone, this is Sandy from We Are Talk of Thailand, and today subject of this video is COVID, just for a change, and COVID-19 with the variants Delta and also with the new variant Omicron. For some time, Thailand has been fighting this Delta variant, and it's been a real uphill struggle for them, and it hasn't been easy. To a finer point on it, they're still struggling to get to grips with the COVID-19. Desperate to get tourists back also, they've started opening routes into Thailand and lifting restrictions so we could get tourists back into Thailand, into the Sandbox and Phuket, etc., and then adding places like Pattaya and Bangkok and other places. And not only did they start getting tourists coming back, but of course they saw the COVID problems beginning to get a lot worse, particularly here in Pattaya, where for some time, before they lifted restrictions, they were in total control in Pattaya. Everything was getting held down very well, with very, very few people catching this horrible virus. In fact, most days it was just down to one or two. The occasional blip would get maybe up to 30 people, very, very occasionally, when something had gone wrong. But it was definitely in control. But now it's changed, and Pattaya has got a very high percentage of the Chonburi infection rate. Most of it's in Pattaya, and it never used to be, but it is now. And that's because we've now got people back here, tourists coming back, etc. You know, I have to say that the government actually has totally mismanaged the whole thing here in Thailand. And even when they started rolling back the restrictions in specific areas, this created a national outcry that there was other areas like Pattaya and Chiang Mai, etc., that were getting excluded from being wound back. And they've had a lot of business owners, etc., that spent the last 2 years struggling to try and get business, and it was leading to great protests. And eventually, the whole control of the COVID problem here broke down. Bars and restaurants, etc., were opening as normal, selling alcohol as normal, and it was becoming a real problem. However, the government continued to try to encourage tourists to come by easing back restrictions more and more. And it was working. There was more and more people coming in on this, the one that they called the test and go procedures. And of course, that started to work fairly well. But then the next thing that happened is Omicron appeared, this new virus. And at first, Thailand largely ignored it, unfortunately. But they did decide that they were going to try and control it at the border and stop any coming into Thailand and hopefully control it that way. But, you know, the borders here in Thailand are at best very porous. The people can come in from various directions without coming through the airports, etc. So although they controlled at the airports, there was other areas coming in. And even people coming in through the airports, they were finding that they came in and they got tested and had to spend one night while they waited for the test results. The test results came back clear. They were allowed to go out into the community anywhere they wanted to go in Thailand. And then 2 days later, 3 days later, Omicron was there. And that was it. So it was developing very, very rapidly. But the government chose to ignore it. They felt they could still control it. Here in Pattaya, we saw the numbers going up, and it's also reported that in the Sandbox area of Phuket, other areas like Samui, Hua Hin, Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, and other popular areas for tourists to Thailand, we're all seeing it creeping up quite rapidly. Here in Pattaya, they decided that they were going to ignore the problem, although they could see it developing. They were going to ignore it till after the festive season, and it's exactly what they've done. And the tourists coming in have been taking advantage of it, of course. You hear, you'll often hear crazy claims on the internet that Pattaya is back to normal and everybody's happy and the bars are happy, etc. Absolute rubbish. It's not back to nowhere near back to normal. People coming in and saying it's busy again. Absolute rubbish. It's never been busy for 2 years. And even with the few people that's coming here, hotel bookings were down 60%. And a lot of the bookings there were Thai people that were booking to come into Pattaya, because they have been encouraging Thai people to travel around Thailand and help make up for some of the tourist losses. But that's impossible. So anyway, we've gone into Christmas, and we went through that week between Christmas and New Year, and then we've just finished New Year, and now we're in 2022. Happy New Year, everybody, by the way. I wish you all the very best, and try and keep away from these problems that I'm describing now, because they are life-changing, style-changing, and they're changing everything that we've ever lived for. So it's not good. So try and stay away from them anyway. But now we're in 2022, and what's happened is that we're now getting overrun with Omicron. Today they reported they had 400 cases of COVID in Pattaya yesterday, and 88% of the people tested had the Omicron variant. So that means that 12% still had the Delta variant, and they say that's slightly more dangerous. But here in Thailand, they're all dangerous, because the vaccination control and the rollout has also been very pathetic from day one, in that the majority of Thai people at the beginning were getting the Chinese vaccines of Sinopharm and Sinovac. And it's now stated that these are almost useless against Omicron. So that's a big problem. And Thailand hasn't even got 70% of the population fully vaccinated anyway, because they've been dodging around, diverting vaccines all into one areas, like they wanted Bangkok fully vaccinated so that could open up, and of course getting the sandbox areas fully vaccinated. So large parts of the country were totally ignored, or virtually ignored, and they were just starting to come back into it. Fortunately, they now got the support from AstraZeneca and from the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines also. And I personally have got 2 Pfizer vaccines, so I feel very good about that. But we know it will soon be time to get a booster if we want to try and stay relatively safe from this Omicron thing. Although that doesn't prevent us from being hospitalized, it more than hopefully will keep us alive anyway. So now we're hearing that the government hospital here in Pattaya is totally filled out with people needing attention for the COVID problems here, and also the private hospitals like Bangkok Memorial Hospital. It was reported yesterday, unconfirmed, that that's absolutely full of COVID patients. So we're in a bad way. And now the festivities are over and some people may be returning home. We're just got to sit back and wait now to see what the reaction from the couple of weeks festivities that we had, what's going to happen here, how bad is it going to get, and everybody's fears are quite high on that. And it's felt that very soon, maybe as early as tomorrow, actually, the government is going to have to react somehow to try and take control of the situation again, which they have totally let the reins go, and it's not so good. We're already getting reports from tourists that have come here for short holidays, 2 or 3 weeks holidays, although I cannot understand why anybody would want to go for a 2-week holiday or a 3-week holiday to somewhere in this pandemic situation. It doesn't make sense to me, but everybody's different, I suppose. But there's a lot of people hit problems with the quarantine aspects because one of the group, one of their families, one of their friends, etc., has caught the COVID, as a lot of people are right now. And it's causing problems for everyone because they're having to quarantine, they're having to take new tests, it's adding to expense, etc. So they're short holidays are turning into a bit of a disaster as well. So that's my current update at the moment about what's happening. And I'll try to keep everyone in touch with future problems as they arise, etc. And all I can say is I hope you, whoever's watching this, bear this in mind. If you aren't in Thailand but you're thinking of coming, think very, very carefully, because it wouldn't be me, that's for sure. And if you cherish your people around you and your loved ones, etc., then better you should stay where you're relatively safe than come here at this moment in time and wait till the world gets control of this virus. Anyway, thank you for watching. Once again, stay safe and bye for now.